There are three things hiding in Christian homes right now. And demons don't just recognize them, they use them. What I'm about to say may disturb you. Not because it's extreme, but because it's familiar. These things don't look dangerous. They don't announce themselves. They don't make noise. Yet in the spirit realm, they speak loudly. I've seen believers pray with power, worship with tears, quote scripture with authority, and still live in homes that quietly work against them. Before I became a Christian, I learned something they never teach in church. Demons don't start attacks in public places. They start where you feel safest. Your home. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to expose what most Christians never think to question. And I'm not talking about obvious darkness. I'm not talking about open rebellion. I'm not even talking about unbelief. I'm talking about permission. Things allowed, things inherited, things ignored, things that sit quietly while prayers are being lifted over them. When I was involved in the occult, we were taught something very clear. Never fight a Christian head-on if you can enter through their environment. Homes were studied, atmospheres were read, patterns were observed. Because once access is granted, resistance becomes harder. The first danger is so common that most believers defend it. The second one feels harmless until it's not. And the third one nearly destroyed a prayerful family who thought they were fully covered. I'll expose all three. But before I do, you need to understand why this matters. Because if the enemy can't stop your prayers, he'll try to weaken the ground you're standing on. And tonight, you're going to see your home differently. I'm not talking about sin. I'm talking about objects, habits, and permissions most believers pray around, not against. That's where the problem begins, because prayer doesn't cancel permission. Authority does. And permission doesn't always come from rebellion. Sometimes it comes from ignorance, sometimes from inheritance, sometimes from things you never chose but never questioned. I know this because I used to look for them. When we wanted access, we didn't search for prayerlessness. We searched for open ground. Things people thought were harmless, things explained away, things defended, a gift kept for sentimental reasons, a habit repeated daily without thought, a door left open because no one believed it mattered. That was enough. I remember one house clearly, a Christian family, active church members, regular prayer. Yet the atmosphere inside that home was heavy. Not because of unbelief, but because of what was allowed to remain. Prayers went up, but peace didn't stay. Night rest was short. Tension lingered for no clear reason. Arguments started without cause, and the family kept praying harder while the access point stayed untouched. Darkness doesn't always oppose prayer. Sometimes it waits for prayer to stop noticing the environment. The first time I witnessed this, I was shocked. The second time, I understood the pattern. But the third time changed everything I thought I knew, even after I left that life. Because that access point wasn't obvious. It didn't look dangerous, it even seemed meaningful. That's why what I'm about to reveal next is not meant to frighten you, it's meant to awaken you. The first thing spirits recognize in a home is not prayer. It's ownership. Before words are spoken, before hands are lifted, the spirit realm reads what has been claimed. Not everything inside a home is neutral. Some things don't need power. They only need permission. Objects don't attack people. Objects don't move. Objects don't speak. But they can agree. And agreement doesn't always sound like worship. Sometimes it sounds like silence. I remember counseling a Christian woman, deeply prayerful, disciplined, sincere. She loved God. Her Bible was worn. Her worship was genuine. But every night something shifted. As soon as the lights went out, peace disappeared. Her body felt alert when it should rest. Her mind stayed active even after prayer. She fasted. She prayed longer. She anointed the doors. Yet the pressure remained. Then she moved homes. The dreams started immediately. Not random dreams, repeated ones. The same rooms, the same feeling of being watched, the same sudden waking in the night. Her spiritual life was improving. Prayer was strong. Scripture felt alive. But her home felt heavy. When I asked her a simple question, she hesitated. Did everything in your old home come with you? She said yes. Every box, every item. Nothing was left behind. We didn't start with prayer, we started with observation. One item stood out. Not because it looked dark, but because it carried history. It had been a gift, given years ago, well-meaning, never questioned. It sat quietly, blended in, never moved. She didn't feel fear, she felt resistance. Something in her didn't want to let it go. She removed it, not with drama, not with panic. She simply refused ownership. That night, the dreams stopped, completely. The next morning, she said the house felt different, lighter, quieter. Within days, her sleep returned, her prayer deepened, the pressure lifted. Nothing new entered the house except what was already there. Objects don't need your belief. They only need your agreement. An agreement doesn't always sound like worship. Sometimes it sounds like silence. The second danger doesn't sit on shelves. It doesn't arrive in boxes. You won't find it by cleaning your house. It hides in routines, and most believers participate in it daily without realizing what it opens. Some doors don't open with rituals. They open with repetition. What you allow once may not matter. What you allow daily becomes permission. I worked with a man who was disciplined in prayer. Early mornings, late nights, scripture memorized. From the outside, nothing looked wrong, but at night, his peace disappeared. Restlessness, a constant pressure he couldn't explain, sleep that never felt like rest. He prayed more, fasted longer, increased his worship, but the pressure stayed. I asked him one question: what fills your atmosphere when you're not praying? He hesitated. Nothing bad, just something I've always done. A habit, repeated daily, never questioned. Consistency speaks louder than confession in the spirit realm. So he didn't shout, he didn't panic. He removed the habit. The first night, quiet. The second night, deeper rest. By the third night, clarity returned. Same prayers, same faith, different atmosphere. Because once tolerance was removed, access collapsed. The third danger isn't an object, it's not a habit. It's access without authority. It starts with curiosity. Spiritual curiosity without covering. Invitations without discernment. Participation without sealing. Most believers never realize they've crossed a line until something starts crossing back. You can mean well and still leave a door open. Light without order still attracts attention. I want to tell you about a family I'll never forget. They were disciplined believers. Worship in the home. Scripture on the walls. Family prayer at night. Everything looked right, and for a long time, it felt right. Then something changed. Restlessness, uneasy nights, tension they couldn't explain. They prayed harder, fasted longer, increased devotion, but the pressure didn't leave. When they reached out for help, they were asked, "What have you invited without sealing?" They searched habits, objects, conversations. Nothing stood out. Until one moment. There had been moments of spiritual curiosity, moments where boundaries weren't clear, engagement without authority, not rebellion, not darkness. Just openness without covering. That was the missing element. Not prayer, not faith, not devotion. Authority. That night they took authority. Prayed deliberately, spoke clearly, sealed what had been left open. No shouting, no fear, just alignment. The atmosphere responded immediately. Rest returned, clarity returned, peace came back. Nothing new was added, something unauthorized was removed. Prayer alone sometimes feels like it's hitting resistance. Not because God isn't listening, but because something else is standing where authority should be. Now listen carefully. This is where fear ends and authority begins. Everything I've shared is not meant to make you anxious. It's meant to make you aware. Awareness is not weakness. Awareness is alignment. You don't protect your home by panicking. You don't protect it by chasing shadows. You don't protect it by copying practices you don't understand. Protection is not noise. Protection is order. Darkness doesn't fear noise, it fears alignment. Step 1. Awareness. Ask simple questions. What is allowed here? What has been normalized? What was never intentionally placed under God's authority? Step 2. Removal. Decide what no longer belongs. Withdraw agreement. When permission is removed, access weakens. Step 3. Renounce permission. Not emotional, not begging. A clear declaration closes a door. Step 4. Invite God's authority intentionally. Peace becomes the atmosphere, not forced peace, settled peace, the kind of peace that doesn't need to be defended. If you belong to God, you are not powerless. If your home belongs to God, it is covered. Nothing entered that shouldn't, and what was left can be corrected. Your home is not a battleground. It is a gate. What entered through ignorance can leave through authority. In my next video, I'll expose how demons monitor Christian homes and how to shut it down permanently. If this message helped you, subscribe, share it with someone you love, and stay spiritually alert. Stay covered, stay aware, and remember, exposure removes power.